Below 3,000 meters, sunlight does not exist. Pressure crushes a human skull instantly. Temperature hovers just above freezing. And yet life thrives down there in forms so strange they look engineered by a different evolutionary system. These are creatures that bioluminesce, breathe sulfur, eat bone, and occasionally swallow prey larger than themselves whole. Counting down the 10 strangest deep-sea creatures ever brought into the light. Number 10. The vampire squid. Its scientific name is Vampiroteuthis infernalis, which translates literally as the vampire squid from hell. It is neither a true squid nor a true octopus, but a relic species. It lives at depths of 600 to 900 meters in oxygen minimum zones, where most animals would suffocate. When threatened, the vampire squid does not ink. It inverts its webbed arms over its head like an umbrella, exposing rows of spike-like protrusions called cirri. It can also eject a glowing mucus from its arm tips that can confuse predators for nearly 10 minutes. Despite its terrifying appearance, it eats only marine snow, the falling organic debris from the surface. Number 9. The frilled shark. First described in 1884, the frilled shark looks less like a modern fish and more like a fossil that decided to swim out of the rock and into the abyss. Its body is long and serpentine, often reaching 2 meters in length. Its mouth contains roughly 300 trident-shaped teeth arranged in 25 rows. When the frilled shark strikes, it bends and lunges forward like a snake, swallowing prey whole. It is one of the few sharks that gives birth to live young after a gestation period that may be the longest of any vertebrate, estimated at up to 3.5 years. It typically lives at depths of 50 to 1,500 meters, and is so rarely seen alive that most specimens have come from accidental net catches. Number 8. The anglerfish. There are over 200 species of anglerfish, but the deep-sea genera, such as Melanocetus and Linophryn, are the most famously alien. Females possess a fleshy growth from their forehead called an esca, tipped with a glowing bacterial lure. They use it to attract prey in the lightless midwater zones. Male anglerfish are a fraction of the female's size, and in many species they survive by biting onto the female and physically fusing their bodies to hers. The male's organs gradually atrophy until he becomes little more than a permanent sperm, producing appendage. One large female may carry multiple fused males at the same time. It is one of the most extreme reproductive strategies on the planet. Number 7. The goblin shark. Often called a living fossil, the goblin shark belongs to a lineage that diverged from other sharks over 125 million years ago. Its skin is a pale pink color from the visible blood vessels under translucent flesh. Its head is dominated by a long, flat snout filled with electroreceptors that detect prey in the lightless depths. But the goblin shark's signature feature is its jaw. When attacking, it can launch its entire jaw structure forward out of its mouth in a process called slingshot feeding. In high-speed footage, the jaw extends nearly the full length of the snout in a fraction of a second, snatching prey before retracting. Most known specimens have been incidental catches by deep-water Japanese fishermen at depths of 270 to 960 meters. Number 6. The barrel-ey fish. When biologists first found specimens of the Pacific barrel-ey, Macropinna microstoma, they thought the fish was eyeless. It was not until 2009 that a research submersible from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute captured live footage of the fish intact. What they saw stunned them. The barrel-ey has a completely transparent head. Inside that liquid-filled dome, 2 tubular eyes rotate freely, allowing the fish to look directly upward through its own skull, or pivot forward when striking prey. The 2 black dots that resemble eyes on its face are actually olfactory organs. For nearly a century, every specimen pulled from a deep net had its skull dome destroyed by the pressure change, hiding the most extraordinary detail of its anatomy. It took a submersible at 600 meters to finally see the truth. Number 5. The giant isopod. Bathynomus giganteus is essentially a deep-sea pill bug grown to monstrous size. Adult specimens regularly reach 30 to 50 centimeters in length, with one record specimen documented at over 76 centimeters, larger than a small dog. Giant isopods are scavengers. They feed on the carcasses of whales, large fish, and other animals that sink to the bottom from the surface. What makes them particularly strange is their ability to survive without food. In captivity, a Japanese aquarium specimen famously survived for 5 years and 1 month, without eating a single meal before its death in 2014. No definitive explanation has ever been offered for how its metabolism sustained itself that long. Their populations span the dark seafloors of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, typically at depths between 170 and 2,140 meters. Number 4. The Yeti crab. Discovered only in 2005 by a deep-sea expedition near hydrothermal vents in the South Pacific, the Yeti crab Kiwa hirsuta is a pale crustacean covered in long silky setae, or hair-like filaments, on its claws and front legs. These setae are not for warmth, they are for farming. The Yeti crab harvests sulfur-eating bacteria on its hairs by waving them in the mineral-rich vent fluid. It then scrapes the bacterial mat off and eats it. Some Yeti crab species have been observed clustering by the thousands around vent openings in waters that hover near the boundary between scalding hot and freezing cold. These animals exist in one of the most chemically extreme habitats on Earth, hostile to virtually all other multicellular life. They were unknown to science less than 2 decades ago. Number 3. The bone-eating snotworm. Its scientific name is Ozydax, Latin for bone devourer. First identified in 2002 on a whale carcass, at 2,800 meters depth in Monterey Canyon. Ozydax has no mouth, no stomach, no eyes, and no anus. What it has is roots. The Ozydax worm bores its root-like structure directly into the bones of dead whales, then uses symbiotic bacteria inside its body to dissolve and metabolize the lipids stored in the bone matrix. In effect, the worms eat the bone itself. What makes them stranger still is their sexual dimorphism. Each visible female worm contains dozens to hundreds of microscopic males living inside her body as parasitic dwarfs, never developing past a larval stage. One small Ozydax may harbor more than 100 males in a single individual. Number 2. The black swallower. Chiasmodon niger is a small predatory fish typically less than 25 centimeters long, found at depths between 700 and 2,700 meters in tropical and subtropical oceans. But its real claim to fame is its stomach. The black swallower can ingest prey up to twice its own length and 10 times its own mass. When a black swallower strikes, it grabs the tail of its larger prey first, then walks its jaws forward, swallowing the victim from the rear toward the head. Its stomach distends to accommodate prey so much larger than itself that the swallower sometimes cannot digest the meal before it begins to rot inside the body. In some specimens recovered from nets, the prey had decomposed enough to fill the stomach with gas, floating the still-alive swallower helplessly to the surface, an animal essentially killed by its own ambition, and the #1 strangest deep-sea creature ever filmed. The giant siphonophore. In 2020, a research expedition off the coast of Western Australia using a remotely operated submersible filmed what is believed to be the longest animal ever recorded. A coiled, spiraling ribbon-like creature drifting in a perfect circle at around 630 meters depth. Its estimated length was over 120 meters. Longer than a blue whale. Longer than most skyscrapers are tall. But here is what makes siphonophores genuinely strange. A siphonophore is not technically a single animal. It is a colony of thousands of genetically identical individual organisms called zooids, each one specialized for a specific job: digestion, reproduction, propulsion, defense, or stinging prey. Each zooid is incapable of surviving on its own. The colony as a whole functions and is treated as a single integrated organism. Some siphonophore species, like the Praia dubia, were once thought to be the longest in the ocean. Then the Western Australia specimen blew the record open. You can think of a siphonophore as something between a coral, a jellyfish, and a single multicellular animal. Each one is a floating mathematical fractal of cooperating creatures. The largest one ever filmed could wrap around a city block. And it is hunting in the dark right now. 10 creatures, 10 different solutions evolution found to the same problem: how to live in eternal darkness under crushing pressure, without enough food. Less than 5% of the deep ocean has been explored in any detail. Whatever is the strangest creature down there, we have almost certainly not found it yet.